Folks, welcome here to Red Eye Nation here in beautiful San Diego. We have an exciting show today. We are getting to work with a lot of great people and organizations here to help support our communities, our country, and obviously protecting our world. And one of the people we want to do is help and say thank you to Veterans Walk and Talk. And we're here to help support them, the veterans, and getting an opportunity to make sure they get all the support they need from coming home. We're also getting to talk to Kat from Doobie and Friends. Kat has had a chance and opportunity to be here in San Diego and let us know about her new and exciting programs and things she's working on, including a Doobie and Friends animation series. So folks, sit back and relax and enjoy Notes from the Underground. Folks, welcome back here to Notes from the Underground here at the Red Eye Nation, and we are excited to get a chance to speak to somebody from Doobie and Friends. And what I mean by somebody, it's the everybody. It is Kat Doobie. Kat, how you doing today?
I'm doing swell. How you doing?
I'm excited you're here. I'm excited to see you and get to talk to some of our future friends and family, as I call them, getting through this next generation and also the new year into some of the programs we're working with. And one of the programs we're working with is Kat and Doobie and Friends. And Kat, a little bit about you. Kat, where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from San Jose, but I currently live in New York at the moment. But I still consider myself bi-coastal because I'm in California and New York often, but I've made a home in two places, and yeah, I absolutely love it. And San Diego definitely has such a, it's always been one of my favorite places because of Comic-Con. I went to school out here. It's the coolest people, so I'm always happy to be back.
I love it. And when you look at you now, and obviously you've seen the growth of San Diego and these other industries, for you, what made you decide to say, you know what, as you've grown throughout these years in both coasts, what made you decide to start to think about the cannabis industry?
Oh, well, I've always been a big advocate of it, and especially when I was living in California, I did have my medical card, and I absolutely just loved the whole scene. When you were, during at least when it was just medical, you would go in and you'd say, oh, you know, what's this? Or I had this kind of problem. People will be able to educate you about different kinds of strains. And then when you pick something, you feel like you win because all of a sudden you just picked the weed of the day, and now here you get a free cookie, and you're like, wow! And then you walk out with just your eyes lit up, and you're like, I don't know what I just got, but I'm so excited. And so it's just always interesting. But then, of course, also, you know, there are other places where it still is not legal. I mean, specifically New York, and it's something we've been struggling for such a long time. But the scene, the community is super, super strong there. And I've been learning a lot about all the different efforts that are out there about, you know, really pushing not only when we legalize that the money actually goes back into the community, and we're not having a lot of, you know, foreign companies come in and just take over the market. So that's why New York is taking much longer, because they want it to be done right. And it's really important. So I'm just really looking forward to see where this is going to take, and, you know, try to support that however I can.
And also, again, with our other guest here, and I'll just call them guests again, I'll call them family here soon. And there's going to be Colin. Colin, I mean, and again, having a chance to say thank you again, being a vet. That's first and foremost, and that's serious, as serious and crazy as I am, putting up with me and protecting our country. I appreciate you doing that. And what is your name, lady? Cookie. All right, like cookies, like Girl Scout cookies.
Cookie's a Navy vet as well, so thank you, Cookie. What did you do in the Navy?
I read maps, but like...
Like this one?
She says that
Yeah.
was going behind her.
I navigated them through the depths of the seas, through Egypt and shit.
Yes.
And I got to Kuwait to pick up their butts up.
So folks, as you can see, we have definitely a crew of veterans, Americans here celebrating cannabis and the industry. Obviously, we thank you again with Nugget Nerds, having our friends Amy and Seth continue to support the community. Going back to the fun part of what we're doing is, what got you to do Doobie and Friends?
Oh my God, I love cute. And when I was younger, I did a program abroad in Japan, and just found out you can make anything cute, and it's just cute overload. So I've always had this obsession with Hello Kitty, and I also love smoking weed. So one day I was just with our friends, and we were just talking about, you know, Hello Doobie, and it was always just a fun concept. It had a little illustration, and then eventually just started evolving into making all his different friends. Well, who's his friend? Oh, you got Bobby Binger, and you got Bubba Bong, and then you've got Sweet Mary Jane. And they started having personalities. And so just started coming up. I came with my first story, and that's where I published it and printed it just to get that out there. And then started thinking about more other stories to come up with. So, maybe making a coloring book. So I've just got into more of these stories and then coming up with new characters, and especially with a lot of things going on these days, just another way to talk about something, but through humor and something that is just fun. So I've really grown to just love these characters. I want to get more stories out there, and I just think people also kind of relate to it too. There's always kind of something that reminds them of, oh yeah, that I can see that, or they relate it to somebody. A good friend of theirs is going through a similar thing. So I mean, it's a long answer to a short question.
Well, it's not, because there's a lot to give, and when we come back, we'll give you some opportunities to see some of the clips and look at some of the books and stories here at Doobie and Friends, as well as get a chance to speak to Colin and our mistress lady of the deep when we get back here on Canis J and North Street Underground. We'll be right back.
I'm feeling high, and it's not just the candy sky, 'cause I'm scared. I've been through broken hearts and lost dreams, but it seems like this could be a real thing. You're that special kind of magic manifested. Your lips are magic all over me. You make that magic, and I can't believe you're checking on me. I'm terrified, but it's magic, so I got to believe. You make me believe in magic.
Folks, we're back here. I have a question for each of these people on our panel here today to talk a little bit about the cannabis industry and how it's affected their lives and why they're involved in these communities. So, Kat, I know you talk about your book, bringing some humor, bringing some fun into the cannabis industry based on your life and some of those things. Do you think any of those characters, which character more relates to you, and how would you want to see Mary Jane? What is she all about?
So with Mary Jane, she's very smart, and she's also an activist, and I see a lot of interesting opportunities of, to really, for her to be able to bring a lot of things to light, and she's also the love of the life of Doobie, and what I love about her is that she's the one who's able to discover when something is going wrong. She's also really involved in a lot of things, and just super likable, and that's the other thing about a lot of the characters. They're very likable. I don't know why, but one of my favorite characters is Bobby, and I think it's just because he's such a good friend. He's just always there. He's just Doobie's little counterpart, Doobie's best friend, and I just see there's a lot of interesting stories that come with him because he doesn't really talk much, and I also think that there's opportunity. He's actually depressed as well, so there's an opportunity to talk about depression and about those kind of relationships. But I think the things that I'm really excited about are some of the new characters that we haven't actually introduced. But the other ones that are also really fun is now that we're hearing more about psychedelics, the fun guys, they can also, and what I love about the fun guys is that, I don't know, I've been imagining they're acrobats, and they're just really wacky, and I just imagine them being, really blundering brothers. So, there's just going to be some cool opportunities to have some animation and really have fun with these characters, because also if you think about it, that first time you ever smoked weed, or that first time you ever taken mushrooms, that one time you took mushrooms, you get just like things that you could tell stories with that people can kind of relate to. And then of course they love chips, and I fucking love chips. So there's always just these references to chips all the time, and it's just because it's not fulfilling, but like you just love it, and so that's why Bobby is always he's always craving chips, and everybody's always all about let's go get some tacos, because by the end of the day, that sometimes.
Chips. Well, I'm gonna ask you this then, Colin. I know people do micro dosing with psychedelics and mushrooms becoming something that they're studying. From you, in your opinion or your personal view, how do you feel about that, and have you seen any changes when people have used that?
Mushrooms through microdosing will help alleviate chronic pain, help with depression, PTSD, in the most severe cases that I've seen. I run a hiking group called Veterans Walk and Talk with Cuqui here, and we advocate for plant-based holistic medicine as a first line of defense rather than a last line of defense for veterans, because oftentimes we like stumble between like pharmaceuticals and bullshit until we find what works for us. And it turns out that plant-based things do work, and we're living proof of it, because I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for the fungi and all those things that go along with it. But microdosing in specifically is like the best thing you can possibly do, especially for mushrooms. I would encourage large trips, but if you can discipline your mind to only take a certain amount every day and go with it for a week or so at a time, I promise you'll start to see things differently. Problems won't be so big. You'll compartmentalize things a little better. And it's just a hard thing to commit to. Most people will say things like, I don't want to eat mushrooms because I don't want to lose control. But those are often the people that they have no control or very little. And what I would say to them is mushrooms give you control. They don't take any away. And that's even more scary, because becoming self-aware is like the pillar of enlightenment. And being self-aware is hard, really hard, because you got to like face your shit and your demons. But a microdose of mushrooms, that'll help you do it, right, Cuqui?
Yes, sir.
Coming soon to Notes from the Underground Special Edition, the Red Eye Nation in San Diego.
Hey, this is Nathan Liu from Mongol Tribe, and you're listening to Notes from the Underground. For me, this is really about community. Because not only am I creating community in an environmental, ecological sense, but I'm creating community, in my human family. And that connection to each other, the connection to culture, it's rooted in food. We're not separate from nature. That's a new concept. That's a very Western concept. So that connection to nature is rooted in all of our native traditions. Where does our food come from? Where do we come from? How are we connected? And the more we have a relationship with that genetic relationship, then we start to understand why we eat certain foods and why certain foods nourish us more than others.
Don't bite me. I didn't do nothing. Look at folks, love animals.
Mm-hmm. They're beautiful. They're sweet. And these are all pets. They're all for folks to have as companions. They're really sweet.
What's wrong? What's wrong, baby? What's wrong? What happened?
Yeah, he's just saying, don't eat me.
Okay, I won't eat you. I won't eat guinea pig. Now them chickens right next to you. Watch out.
They're so cute.
Beautiful.
When people eat the food from here, what is their first reaction?
It's one of appreciation for the complexity of flavor.
You're a military veteran. What brought you to decide that this is cannabis in this industry to help support your veterans? What brought you to this area, I guess, to ask?
For me, it was more, I was definitely trapped in the pharmaceuticals that the BA trapped us in. And for me, cannabis was it was a lifeline. It was the last hope that I had to get control of my life as a wife, as a woman, and as a mother. And I smoked the first time, and all the stress and the pain went away. And I just continued to smoke, and I never went back to the pharmaceuticals. But I realized that had to be my mission as a mother and a veteran, because there's not that much awareness out there. And it's something that needs to be normalized, because like I said, it does make me a better mother with my kids, because I have more patience for them. I don't have pain, so I can play with them. And at the same time, it freed me from the pharmaceuticals that were taking my life away little by little.
Amen.
Amen.
Kat, where can we get more information, and where can people support you and support your book?
Just by visiting the website, www.doobieandfriends.com. You can also follow us on Instagram. Constantly starting to post more of the new products that we have. We're going to start sending out some newsletters, be at more events. Hopefully you start seeing us more and more at some of the concerts and other locations. And then, we're always coming out with new stuff, and stay informed by visiting the website or follow us on Instagram.
MySpace. No, I'm kidding. You can have that too. But Colin, again, and I want people to know again one more time for you guys, seriously, is where can they find more information about you? And before that, give us 30 seconds, a minute about your dog. Let us know, like, again, people have animals here.
I have a 90-pound Danish Shepherd mix that's named Hashish. He just turned a year on Halloween, and he's my rock, and he travels the country with me. He's been across the country 8 times this year, like back and forth in a vehicle in the name of cannabis. He's barked at state troopers to get them away from my van when I was hauling meds to sick people in Oklahoma. Veterans Walk and Talk, which is our organization, supports any kind of normalization and breaking of stigmas and stereotypes around cannabis. And we feel like partnering with Doobie and Friends and Kat here is like a great way, because we're all parents. A lot of us, we're trying to get back to our kids and, you know, relate to them in good ways. So we support Doobie and Friends. We just want to, you know, help normalize, and I think this is a good way to do it.
You can find us on Instagram under Veterans Walk and Talk, as well as Veterans Walk and Talk SD. Si quiere más información sobre Veteranos Walk and Talk, vaya a Instagram y busque Veterans Walk and Talk, o puede ir a veteranswalkandtalk.com y ahí le enseña información. And, you know, if you want to follow us and come to our events, which are free for veterans and non-veterans, just shoot us a DM and we'll send you a membership form. And with that comes emails for not only free events, but also opportunities for veterans, like, you know, massage therapists, or maybe just not only physical ailments, but mental illness, where you could have an event just to like get out and relax and walk with us.
We also have Veterans Walk and Talk OK, which is our Oklahoma chapter. And we have Veterans Walk and Talk NorCal, which is our Northern California chapter. And much more than just a hiking group, we're a tribe of like-minded people who like educate ourselves every single time we meet further on cannabis. I have founded this in late 2016 and dedicated myself to the plant, like fully, and I've learned a lot about it, and I feel like I have a lot to offer, and the people that walk with us are no exception. So that's a big thing we do too. Just come and learn about cannabis, and like you'll find the right kind for you. Veteranswalkandtalk.com too.
I think what you guys are doing is awesome. And, you know, I've met you guys for the first time today, and the way it's just being the openness of telling your story, and also I just thought that was really, you know, that meant so much to me as well when you said you really liked the books, and there was some you know, some of the characters you related to. So when I was hearing and I saw the video about the whole, with all the walking, and I just thought it's an amazing story as well, because especially even on the East Coast, you know, you see it everywhere. And by building that community, you know, it's really incredible. So, laughing under fire. Yeah. So cool.
Folks, again, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for being here at the Red Eye Nation. Thank you. Support our local veterans. Support Doobie and Friends. Thank you, Nugget Nerds, for filming and making sure that we keep everybody knowing what's going on here in 2020 here on KNSJ 89.1 FM on Viceland, our local TV channel 4, and Notes from the Underground.